through some of the in now, some of the positive commandments that a person can transgress by speaking Lashon Hara. And so one of the things that we talked about was you can, last time we talked, I think you can be mevatel, you can nullify the mitzvah of tochacha, of giving a person rebuke. And so one of the things that I was interesting here, I noticed that he says here that he says in the note after that, he says, but this is kind of a difficult thing, but he says, if a person thinks to himself, right after he finishes speaking the Lashon Hara, so then I'll give him tochacha. Gam kein shelo kedinhu. That's not in accordance with halacha. Dein yitachen shim echad roeh shechaveru Yisrael ochel baser chazir chas v'shalom. He says because it's impossible to think that if a person would see a fellow Jew, I guess a fellow religious Jew, eating chazir, he's not going to let him finish the whole thing. I'll wait till he finishes all the treifus, and then afterwards I'll say something. Afterwards. But it's certain that he's got a chiyuv to give him tochacha immediately. Because perhaps he'll accept it from him and stop eating. Because each and every kazayas, every little amount of treif the person eats is its own law, its own negative commandment. Every bit of Lashon Hara that a person speaks is its own independent prohibition. If not, that he sees that if he will allow him to finish the story, it'll be good for him to clarify before the listeners from the story that this is just motzi shemra. In other words, if he judges that by letting him finish it, he can then tell those listening, listen, you hear that story and it's clearly not true. Or let's say there are instances, we're going to talk about this later on in the Sefer, when a person hears somebody speaking Lashon Hara and realizes that although the person shouldn't be saying it, he needs to hear it in order that he can be careful that perhaps this person is causing to harm him or others. So he needs to listen to it in order to be concerned about perhaps it's true. Ukamoshi is bar im yirtza Hashem calls them lekaman behochas Lashon Hara klal vav. Right, we're going to learn about this later in the 6th chapter of Al Im Hu Roashu Rak Divrei Kinturian Ba'alma Al Chavero. He's just speaking. He realizes he's just speaking bad things against his friend, things to aggravate his friend. Or Rak Divrei Chito Valag, or jokes. Ba'alma the Chavero, he's making fun of him. Bavadai call Hamazares Asmo Betochachto Umoneo LeChavero Mizeh. Very difficult thing. But really, a person should actually, in the middle of his speech, say, this is really not good for you to complete your sentences. Mitzvah Rabbi hu osa, you're doing a tremendous mitzvah. But calls that kasfenu afilu b'yesh od shomim zulaso le'inyan lifnei ivner. And this is a true, even if there's other listeners there, because first of all, you're stopping them from being over lifnei ivner, and again, you wouldn't let somebody eat chazer right in front of other people. Again, this is a tremendous nesoyin for a person, tremendous challenge for a person to try to stop somebody mid-sentence. But he's saying that that's really what the halacha mandates. So we also, we talked about the idea that a person, I think we did this last time, that a person is supposed to attach themselves to Talmidei Chachamim, and so if we attach ourselves to Chaburas, groups of Rishayim, if people speak Lashon Hara, that's a very bad thing. Okay, so he says now, mitzvahs aseh Zion. But calls that a philo shaloba based on midrash. Everything we've said now is if it's said outside of a base medrash. But if a person speaks Lashon Hara in a base medrash or a shul, over od al mitzvahs aseh umikdashi tira'u. You're over on the positive commandment of my mikdash, my sanctuary, you shall fear. Ubeis medrash shalanu gam kain bechlal mikdashu kamoshim avar b'poskim. And our shuls and our Beis Medrash is within this realm of being considered one of Hashem's holy sanctuaries. But it's devinu b'zeh pasuk liyira mimisha shochen bo. And within this mitzvah is to fear the one that dwells there, meaning Hashem. Ulechein ein mechashvin bo cheshbonos. And therefore, really, you're not supposed to be doing like business calculations. You shouldn't be like, doing some accounting in shul. Im shal mitzvah, except for mitzvah. In other words, kagon, he says, kamo kupa shal tzedakah kadome. If you're counting up the money in the tzedakah box or something like that, then that's all good. But kol shechein de aser behem schok v'chitol v'sicha v'tela. All the more so, it's prohibited in shul to talk, to be doing telling jokes and foolishness and sicha b'tela, just speech that is purposeless. V'lo moel b'zeh shum tanai k'mavor b'shulchan aruch or achaim. Then no condition helps this. Meaning to say, what he means by this is that a lot of things that we do in shul that might, let's say, eating in shul, there are certain things that can be done in shuls because they were made on condition. The shul was made on al tanai that it's not only a shul, and therefore some other activities which would otherwise be inappropriate are okay. But he's saying, don't think that because the shul was made al tanai on condition, and therefore can someday perhaps be sold or whatever, that means that you can speak divrei chol in it, words that are meaningless or tell jokes, stuff like that. It has nothing to do with that. For sure, all the more so, if you're not supposed to say nothingness, for sure you shouldn't be speaking Lashon Hara or Rechilas. Mipnei emas Hashem yisbarach hashochen bo. We have to somehow get it into our kishkas, into our innards, that shul is a place that, although, I'm not saying that it should be a happy place, but he's saying here we should realize Hashem is there, and there should be an element of fear to just God forbid, do any is or be involved in foolish speech. Levad yisur chamor atzmi, besides the isur, the stringent isur itself of speaking Lashon Hara. Ubezev shemedaber mara atzmo she'eno mamin shakadosh baruch hu yashir shchinaso b'bayis hazeh. When a person speaks like this in shul, he seems to indicate that he doesn't really believe that Hashem is there. He's showing the chutzpah to speak against the king in his own palace, which is against the will of the king. And even those who learn Torah b'kavius, with consistency in the study hall, that such people, halacha is that a person who basically makes their dwelling place the base medrash, and they're there all the time, they're allowed to eat and drink there because they basically live there. Kimavora Bar Chaim Simon Hanal, that it's explained in the Shulchan Aruch. B'kol makom im hayu nikshalim be'isur schok v'chita lashon hara rechilas b'beis hamedrash heim over in al mitzvahs aseh to mikdashi tira'u. Even these people that are allowed to, so to speak, live in the base medrash can't do anything which shows that they don't have a fear of Hashem who's there. So it doesn't in any way permit them to speak in inappropriate ways. Levad yisur ha'atzmi kamosha kasav magen avram b'simin kuf nun al. Besides, again, the prohibition itself. This is the magen avram. What? Talmidei Chachamim are not warned on the awe of the mikdash. And they're only allowed to do it, eating and drinking because it's difficult otherwise. They'd have to go home, waste their time. But it's not like it's pashut. It's because of the fact that they live there, so we permit them to eat and drink there. Mitok shehem lomdim bebeis hamedrash. That if we would make them leave to go eat and drink, it would mavatal their Torah. That's why they're allowed to do it. So he says, a Talmud Chacham speaking a Stam Dibur in a shul. He says, we'll talk about that in the third chelik. He says another thing down here in the note. He explains that another terrible thing that can happen from speaking. Many times, people speaking in shul, it's not bad enough that they're speaking nothingness or Lashon Hara, but sometimes they actually interrupt learning, or they speak during the Kriyas HaTorah, and mevatel people from being able to. So it's not like that they're saying the negative things, but you're even losing out. He says on the Divrei Elokim Chaim, the words of the living God. Here, let's do one more tonight. So Ches now. It's Masaseh Ches. He says, "V'imlo misha mesaper lashon hara rechilas hu zakein v'ginahu bazeh b'fanav." If that the person that he's speaking about lashon hara rechilas is an elder and he disgraces this person in front of him, afilu zakein am aretz, even if he's an elder who is unlearned, over ode al mitzvahs aseh v'hizarta pnei zakein. He's over on the mitzvah, the positive mitzvah, that a person should show kavod to a person who's older. Even though that the pasuk, the chacham of the pasuk is called is a chacham, is a wise person. It's also going on a person who's just a seva, who's an older person, even if they're not a chacham. Shehiderhu kibu divarim tahanu ladaber lo b'derech kavod v'adnus. That hider, to honor him, is to show honor in front of him, and that is to speak with him in a way of honor, and that he has masteries and adnus. U'makonam shemeganenu b'vadai eno mehardo. I don't know what that means. Uvamakom shemiga. Oh, in a place where you're belittling him, you're certainly not showing him honor. V'chein hu chacham afilu eno zakein over gamkein al mitzvah sasezu. And even if the person is a chacham, but he's not old, so all different possibilities. If he's an older chacham, or an older man not a chacham, or a chacham who's not an older man, and all of these things you're over. Because when it says in the pasuk a chacham, a zakein, it means a chacham. That's what it means. Kedarshinan zeh kana chachma, a person who has acquired wisdom. Levad ma shekama pamim ba al yedei zeh leiser achamor de mevaze tamid chacham. That he says, and many times through this, he can come to the very stringent mitzvah of being mevaze, of humiliating a scholar. Sheniknas bezed v'chlal apikorsis alpidin, that a person who does such a thing has entered into the category of apikorsis. Again, he says we're going to go at length into this later on. V'imhu zakin v'gam chacham, if he's both, over al mitzvahs v'darta v'chloyim. He's over it twice. He's over the mitzvah. He's nullified the mitzvah, the positive mitzvah, to show the person honor, because he was supposed to show them honor because they were wise. He was also supposed to show them honor because they were old. So he's actually done a double. He's nullified a positive commandment doubly. All right. Everyone have a good evening. Pick it up tomorrow.